that, let's move on to back to one of our top stories, the EFF, which says that ENCA is not welcome at any of their events or media briefings after the 24-hour broadcaster withdrew its coverage of the EFF's second National People's Assembly, which is currently underway at Nasrec, south of Johannesburg.
ENCA has withdrawn in solidarity with amaBhungane, Daily Maverick and all that. And it is a very unfortunate decision because since we said we will no longer allow amaBhungane to our events, that was at President Mugabe's memorial, ENCA has been covering us. It had never said since you said you don't welcome amaBhungane, we'll stop covering you and Daily Maverick. Now, comrades, I should make this point very clear. We welcome the withdrawal of the ENCA in all our events. And you must never go back and report that we banned the ENCA. They withdrew from our conference, meaning they withdrew from covering the EFF. So we don't want to see any ENCA anywhere in our events. So if that is going to be their attitude, let them bring it on. So we have not expelled them. We never had a problem with them. We said we have a problem with amaBhungane. We announced it at President Mugabe. Since President Mugabe, I've been to ENCA so many times. They never asked me about amaBhungane. Today I speak about Johan Rupert and what Rupert does to this country. They cut the feed and use Daily Maverick excuse.
Well, the EFF leader, Julius Malema, also said that media freedom is guaranteed, but only to genuine media. Malema has been given the political report at the party's second National People's Assembly underway at Nasrec, south of Johannesburg. The party yesterday denied journalists from Daily Maverick, Scorpio, amaBhungane, Rapport and Caxton accreditation, citing freedom of de-association with regard to who reports on its conference. In the latest development, the news channel ENCA has withdrawn it from covering the elective conference.
South African media, stop being in denial. You are infiltrated by an organized, well-orchestrated covert intelligence organization which has captured many of your editorial rooms using covertly attained information. Ask how people get to know about the private accommodation of others, get access to their rooms soon after they depart, so as to dig in their dustbin. Ask the rights of those people, are the rights of those people not important to the media? What kind of media project or ethos is being galvanized by ignoring the fact that information could have been attained through intrusive equipment that violates people's rights to human dignity and privacy? Ask what drives a senior, well-seasoned journalist to release the addresses, pictures of residents of those they politically disagree with, despite the fact that these are people belonging to families, with children who have rights and have independent social standing. Can a journalist that is litigating against a politician still ethically and confidently say they can cover such a politician with fairness without any conflict of interest? Why are journalists who openly say they belong to political parties still allowed to cover opposition parties? What about conflict of interest? It is a fact today that state security and crime intelligence has many in the editorial rooms on their payroll. People have been long warned about this. Is it not time that you relook into your own systems and ask crucial questions? What can we do to avoid being infiltrated and used by the powerful in the games that they play with other powerful or weak forces? Today, we don't know what you achieve by attacking us. We simply call on you to self-introspect. Fellow fighters, we must challenge the public broadcaster to reimagine itself as a broadcaster of the African continent. If SABC was truly rooted in the continent in terms of stories, music, news, sports, and many other programs, will not have these levels of Afrophobia. The SABC has to actively reintegrate South Africa culturally into the African continent.
All right, so that's the view of the EFF on the issues relating to the media. Well, for a little bit more on reaction on the EFF's decision to exclude some journalists from attending its elective conference, we're now joined on the line by Themba Sipotokele, who's communications strategist for TS Headlines. Themba, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. Your initial thoughts when you heard that certain media were excluded from covering the EFF conference?
Okay, Peter, no, thanks very much. To be honest, it came as a shock and a surprise that certain media houses have been barred from covering the EFF based on what they believe that some media houses are quite hostile or are not giving them a fair coverage. However, it is not their space, to be honest, to start to be fighting the media instead of engaging with the media. As much as Malema is raising some of the patent questions that some of us as journalists are raising about unethical journalism and some charlatan journalists within the newsroom, it is not really in their space to start picking up the kind of fight with the media. To say that the media must do introspection is quite good, but media has been doing that all the years. But it is not for them to begin to cherry pick and say that we don't want this kind of media houses because of the kind of coverage. Unless they are saying to us as the public, they are looking for suited journalists who just cover them good stories and not ask them the difficult questions. They are in the public platform. They need to answer the difficult questions that may be asked by Daily Maverick, amaBhungane, ENCA, SABC, The Star, and stuff like that. They have to answer to the media.
So what do you make of his argument that these are not media houses but are operators essentially working for factions within political parties or even right-wing elements?
No, those are untested allegations. We can go on and make wild allegations about certain media. At the end of the day, they are operating within the media space, within the parameters of the Constitution. Therefore, then, it is not up to an individual or political party to begin to quite point the finger, because the recent media houses that is pointing the finger are the ones that have been investigating them, are not just reporting. Because it seems that, from where I'm sitting, Malema and his crew want people just to report what they are saying. They don't want people to investigate, to start asking them the difficult questions. And you know what? It is quite interesting that this trend has been happening for the last 3 years since the EFF was formed, and it's been their kind of a stage to begin to fight the media. And what one can say that it is what we've seen, that we've seen the Trump tendencies creeping into the media space. If you don't want to answer difficult questions, you talk about fake news, you talk about infiltration and things like that. At the end of the day, EFF is a political party registered with the IEC. The media, it is one of the pillars of democracy, which all parties should subject themselves to. If they have certain issues with specific media houses, there are proper channels to go to, rather than start fighting the media, revoking their accreditation, barring them to attend their activities.
In the wider context, what's at stake when political parties are able to disassociate themselves from certain media houses?
No, it basically quite simple, Peter. It says the gloves are off. EFF is saying one thing and one thing only, that we want people who will cover us the way we want them to cover us. We want people who will attend our media briefings. We don't want people who will come and investigate and start asking difficult questions. So it really kind of creates that kind of an environment whereby it's going to be a very toxic environment between certain media houses and certain political parties or certain political individuals. Therefore, then, as much as at some certain point he's asking pertinent questions, he's asking the media to do some introspection. Quite right. The media does it every day. We are here to also hold the media accountable. You know, the Press Council, the SPCSA, they are holding their media accountable. However, it is not in his space to begin to bar the media, to begin to create that kind of unhealthy relationship between the media and political parties. Because what he's doing also now, he's perpetuating the very same fight that he's been doing with Sanef and the likes and certain female journalists. Because these are the things that ordinary members of the EFF would begin to see the media as an enemy, not as an enabler and one of the pillars of democracy. So some of these comments are very, very dangerous, to be honest.
All right, Themba, that's where we'll leave it. Thanks so much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us on this burning issue.